Etsy just released their Q2 earnings report, and there are some pretty startling facts in there that are going to substantially impact us print-on-demand sellers. That's why in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what they said, what it all means, and most importantly, what us print-on-demand sellers should be doing right now about it all. And so Etsy, like all other publicly traded companies, are required by law to release quarterly earnings reports. And all that means is that on a quarterly basis, they share how the business is doing. And they release documents sharing all of the financials as well as the headwinds and problems that the business is currently facing. And along with their financial statements, they released a 30-something slide deck breaking down how the business is doing. So jumping right into things, one of the most startling facts from the entire presentation that they put out as part of their quarterly earnings report was this one right here, which is their active buyer metrics. Now, some of this will come as no surprise to you, but what we're about to cover in just a moment truly shocked me. So what we see here is that in Q2 of 2025, they were down 4.6% year over year in terms of active buyers. New buyers, they were down 14.5% year over year. But reactivated buyers, they were up 2.8%. So while that is some good news, reactivated buyers means that they got people who had bought from the platform before to simply come back and buy again, which not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if we could pick any of these to be moving in that direction, this is the least impactful one of the bunch. Like new buyers, meaning that they're not bringing anybody else onto the platform, it's pretty concerning. And the number of active buyers decreasing by 4.6% is also not good signs. And the crazy thing here is it's not like we're just comparing this quarter to, Q1 and, maybe it's some seasonal things. No, we are comparing year over year growth, which means we are looking at Q2 of 2025, meaning just April through June of this year. And then we're comparing it to the same time period last year. So we're comparing apples to apples here. But the part that was truly shocking is that there's a lot of things that could justify this, to be completely fair. But what we found when you look even closer is looking at their consolidated statement of operations, basically how they're spending money in each area of the business. I won't bore you with going through all the details, but the one detail here that's most important to note is their marketing expenditure. While their number of new buyers entering the platform was decreasing, like down 14% year over year, they were spending more on marketing. Now, it wasn't a ton, but 15%. And we're not talking about small dollar amounts here. They're spending millions of dollars additional on their paid advertising. If this was my company and I saw that I was spending 15% more on my ads, meanwhile, the number of new customers that I'm bringing in decreased by the same amount, we've got big problems. I need to take a serious look at what is going on. Either we're spending inefficiently here or something is fundamentally wrong with the business that we're running, because there's no reason that we should be increasing our paid marketing. Meanwhile, we are not getting as many customers as we were during a period where we were spending less. But unfortunately, that is all just the tip of the iceberg. Because as we take a closer look at things, to summarize, the buyer base is shrinking. So our current active buyers right now is down 4.6% year over year. And habitual buyers, the people who spend the most, fell by 12.2%. Now, I know 4% to 12% doesn't seem like a massive deal, but we're talking about lots of people. And on a platform this big, every 1% shift matters a great deal. And then the categories that this decline was happening in was in all 6 of their top categories, and including apparel, which makes up 13% of the gross marginal sales they have. And this is obviously where us print-on-demand sellers live. This is where all of our products are housed. And so the place that we are, currently living, that's where the sales are declining. And it's not even like this is just talking about the US alone. They were sharing how globally sales have been down. So what does this mean, especially when it comes to us print-on-demand sellers? Well, if you start with already high print-on-demand costs and you add in 6.5% for transaction fees plus payment processing, which as we've covered in previous videos, that's standard. Like we have that on Shopify as well. But then you add in 20 cents per listing, basically 24%. So as Etsy's revenue has been declining, the number of new buyers, what they've been doing to make up for that is they've been clawing back extra percentage points on every dollar that transacts on Etsy. What that basically means is Etsy's fees are increasing. So the platform is keeping more for every sale that happens. And here's the real kicker. If an order comes from an offsite ad, you can then tack on 12 to 15% more. And you don't have any choice in that, because after you cross 10K in sales, Etsy then requires offsite ads forever, and you're not able to turn it off. Etsy is shifting spend from TV and general brand marketing to performance channels such as search, social, influencers, and you win only if their algorithm sends you buyers, and you pay via Etsy ads / offsite ads when it does. One of the major pros to Etsy up until this point that people talk about is, well, they send all this traffic. And while it's still true, they do send traffic, and even though the buyers are declining, there still are quite a few people on there. Their focus is going to direct response, essentially attribution ads, the same kind of ads that we run on our brands. So I was curious, what do the ads actually look like? Do they have world-class performance marketers like building the ad creative and it's really world-class stuff that, then it maybe could justify the extra 12 to 15% in ad fees? Well, first we have to keep in mind that the free traffic is inconsistent on the platform at best. And when demand dips, we're either paying Etsy more or we stall. And we also, in the meantime, we do not own the pixel, the list, or the buyer relationship. We're not actually building any asset. And when you take a look at the ads that they're actually running, you can go look these up. If you go to Facebook ad library and type in Etsy, you'll find they're running ads like this. This is the ad that they are charging 12 to 15% of your revenue for. This. It is literally just a data feed of the product catalog. They just took an image. This just in. Discover the latest trends from small shops on Etsy. Just literally the name of the product and this just in. This seems like AI generated to me. But that kind of ad creative, I can promise you this ad is not performing well, because it is completely whitewashed. So it blends in with the feed. Actually, if we just delete all my beautiful scribbles here, we can see this is what people are seeing on a feed. Social media feeds are largely white and like blue if you're on Facebook. So one of the most important aspects of the ads that we run is making sure that they are high contrast with the background around it. This is the least high contrast ad I've ever seen. Aside from the black diamond in the center, I've never seen anything more whitewashed. And for anybody who's curious, here it is straight from the Etsy terms that if your shop made less than $10,000, you'll be charged a 15% fee for an order attributed to an offsite ad on the amount you made from your sale before the advertising fee was applied. If your Etsy shop made at least $10,000, then you get a discounted fee of 12%. So basically, if you haven't generated us enough revenue, then we charge you 15%. If you have generated us enough revenue, then we charge you a generous 12%. Mind you, that 12% is on top of the 6.5% that they are taking just for us to have the pleasure of being on their platform, plus the transaction fees, plus the listing fees. So all of that to be said, we are now giving up, depending on the sale, around 24% of that is going straight to Etsy. And that's in exchange for them running ads like this. This is a horrible ad. And not only that, we are now footing the bill for their marketing expenses where they are building the list. They own the customer. They own the data. And they also get to decide whether if our brand lives or dies. And it's on a sinking ship to begin with. And they're also shifting to a new browsing model. So they're shifting towards AI-driven feed-like discovery instead of pure search, which that then rewards shops with long engagement histories and leaves new print-on-demand sellers invisible unless you start paying for the exposure. Basically, picture right now, it's search, find, buy. They are trying to make the shift over to like essentially a feed style because they're noticing perhaps that people have the attention spans that kids did 20 years ago. That's now us, myself included, because of everything that social media has done. But it keeps going. So matching shoppers with the right content through better machine learning. This is basically their new angle to help increase the amount of sales, which is fine. I think that's a good strategy overall with the trend of how things are going, but that doesn't help for beginner print-on-demand sellers. So this begs the question now. We see what Etsy said straight from their own mouth. We see what it means. Now, what can we actually do about it? So Etsy is shrinking. How do we start growing? First, we start by stopping the renting of our audience and we start owning it. And we see, magnificent traffic that Etsy sends, how great, and it's organic. You don't have to worry about it. All of that. We see what that traffic is. It is no longer the big, beautiful, branding campaigns that everybody's used to and associates with Etsy. It's now shifting to direct response, paid marketing, which is literally exactly what we do on Shopify, except there we get to actually control if we're paying for really crappy ads or good ads. So you start to own this on Shopify. And now what I'm about to cover is not saying that you should drop everything, just completely ignore Etsy. If you have a good growing business on Etsy, more power to you. I share this as a cautionary tale, all completely subjective, of course, like anybody who's being honest. But from what I see, it is not a place that I would want to start investing my time and money, especially when, as rocky as the opportunity is, there's always the possibility of me just getting Thanos snapped overnight, my business goes away. So we start by owning our own traffic and our own list. And we're able to control the product pricing, upsells, and the customer retention. Because something that we didn't even get to talk about is how the pricing structure, it's becoming more and more commoditized. And I really think that this trend is only going to continue. I'm calling it now, that as AI becomes more and more powerful, the barrier to entry to compete on Etsy is just getting lower and lower, which is good. And it depends on how you want to look at it. The way that I look at it is, if I'm a established seller on Etsy and I just see that I'm competing in a marketplace where everybody around me is able to create better and better products with the snap of a finger, that's pretty cause for concern when people are not building a relationship with me as the brand, because then I have no competitive advantage compared to whoever else, gets access to the latest AI models. Yeah, and in Etsy's own words, they say, our efforts to show buyers we know them is driving momentum. So basically what they're saying here is that our remarketing, retargeting, email efforts is becoming more and more important to us. Hence, and it shows in their financials or their quarterly earnings that they were successful in reactivating, which is so interesting that they were admitting, it's obvious that the existing customer base is where the real value of Etsy lies. They are literally saying it, that the real value of their business is in the customer base that they are building. Who is not building a customer base for themselves? Everybody who's selling on Etsy. As also on Shopify, there's no forced extra margin. We pay transaction fees and we pay for the cost of the Shopify subscription, which at the time of recording this, they've just updated it. It used to be you can try it for $1 for 3 months. They just upped it to half a year. So you can try out Shopify and get started building your brand for literally $1 for 6 months. $6 in total. It's $1 per month, just to be clear. And on the platform, there are no additional fees outside of that. So transaction fees is as far as it goes. There is no extra fees like the 6.5% that Etsy takes. And the best part is that the discovery comes from your own marketing, not some nameless algorithm that you don't get any control over. So the question is, how do we get started? If we're interested in Shopify, and I know that some of this might become as alarming, and hopefully it should. It's good that we're now informed and we can see the writing on the wall for what it is, that Etsy has been a great opportunity for many print-on-demand sellers, but I firmly believe that that era is slowly coming to a close. And we can keep an eye out for their next quarter earnings and then the earnings after that to see how things are trending, as well as keep a finger to the pulse by seeing in the market at large, what are people reporting on? And from what we've been seeing from everybody that we've talked with and worked with in our community, we're hearing from lots and lots of people coming over from Etsy saying that the amount that they were making is no longer what it once was. Competition is climbing, and other people on the flip side of things have just been outright banned for whatever reason. So the way that you can get started if you're interested in starting with print on demand and going a route different than Etsy is through Shopify, which is what I have experience with for the past 10 years of my life. I've been doing nothing but running Shopify brands. I've also personally invested way too much money in courses that I just left me completely burned and broke. So we've taken our entire course, the entire process that we've used to turn 8 different brands into $1 million brands in their first year online, into a free 31+ hour course. And so it is step-by-step, covers literally everything, top to bottom, and it's available completely free, either on our YouTube channel or in the free school community. And then to get you started, we also offer our free Shopify theme that we've used on all of our brands. And we help you connect your print-on-demand supplier, which we use Printify, more specifically Monster Digital within Printify. And we start building our email list basically from day one. From the day that we turn on ads, we start building our own email list and start building our own group of customers. Just like Etsy paid lip service to about how important it is in their earnings report, we are doing that same exact thing and taking advantage of the exact same trend that they're seeing is more and more important, which is building an audience of people who you're able to remarket to. And then we learn how to drive traffic with meta ads. And now hopefully from seeing the example of an Etsy ad, you see that it's not witchcraft or, something insane to run these types of ads. Like those ads are really low quality, and we show you how to create high quality ads that really stand out in the feed. And again, you don't have to take my word for any of this. It's literally all completely free. You can go check it out. And I already know what's going to be in the comments about, ads, you have to run ads for Shopify. It's not easy for beginners. Yes, there are learning curves to overcome, but it's literally all laid out, number one. And number two, I think that it's a fallacy to think that just because a business requires more learning and effort in order to get started, that rules it out as a viable option for beginners. In fact, I would argue the exact opposite. When there's a business that is too easy to enter, like if the only thing that we were optimizing for was the ease of starting a business, then we would all just be better off like starting a lemonade stand. Like when I evaluate a business that I want to start, I don't just go off of how easy is this going to be. That's what I did in the beginning. Now when I look at it, I say, is there actually some challenge to this? Because challenge is what keeps people out of the market. Like many people, I want to invest my time into something that is worthwhile. I don't care if it takes me a little bit extra effort. I want to know that it's going to be worth it in the long run. And while there's absolutely no guarantees with starting any business, but just building your own brand, while you're doing all the same legwork, we're selling the exact same types of products that people would be selling on Etsy. It's literally just we recreate our own selling platform and name it our own thing. So that people, instead of associating the product they bought from you with Etsy, they associate it with you. It's novel concept, and people just overemphasize the challenge of it. It's really not. It's just like if you can learn how to design a t-shirt, you can learn how to design a Shopify store. I promise you. And if you don't believe any of that, you can go check it out for yourself and let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think? What did you take from these earnings report? And what changes are you going to be making in your approach to print on demand? I'd love to hear from you. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.